Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Right, so when Kawal asked me to speak today, I thought that rather than talk about just BIMA, I should talk about something that is more basic and very important to each and every organization. So BIMA's done well this year. We have around 3.6 million customers. We give around 30,000 telehealth consultations every month. And we have grown over 18% last year to give a top line of around 1.4 billion. And we've grown our bottom line by 28%. But how are these things possible? These things are possible because of some essentials of leadership, which I would like to talk about, which my team has exhibited in the last 4 years. And I think this is a topic which many of you could be interested in and which could help you in your particular organizations. So before that, a bit about me. So I'm Murtaza Khalil. I'm the CEO of Milvik BIMA Pakistan. I started working here last 4 years ago. I enjoy hiking. I've picked up a hobby of sketching. And also I'm into acrylic painting. Not very good, but still, I enjoy it and it helps me relax. And I worked in some large organizations in Pakistan in the field of insurance, whether it's in banking, whether it's in a telco, or whether it's in an actual insurance company. So 18 years of insurance experience, and now with BIMA, telehealth plus insurance. Before I move forward, I think as the writer Jay Shetty says in his book, How to Think Like a Monk, it's very important to drive whatever your actions are through your values. And the best way to identify your values is see which values you admire in other people. So one of the biggest inspirations for me are my parents. So for my mother, who's an illustrator and who's illustrated some books which maybe you or your children have read, like Master Saab, Jalebiyan, the book group books, and they've been illustrated by my mother. So I've learned the value of resilience and hard work. And from my father, I've learned the value of humility and faith. I've got, one of my memories is driving down with him on a road, and we had to stop by the side of the road because accidentally the car spilled some mud on a passerby, and he wouldn't proceed until that guy actually forgave him. So for me, that is etched in my memory and formed part of my values. So to talk about some of the leadership essentials which has helped BIMA grow to where it is right now, and I'm happy to say that now one of Pakistan's largest groups, the Packages Group, is investing in BIMA. So it's one large group which has joined hands with BIMA. So that is a big success. So one of the key things which I've identified is self, team, culture. So understanding of self leads to understanding of your team and developing the team, and understanding the team helps develop culture. So when we talk about the self, why is that important? So again, there are two books I'd like to quote here. One is 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, which is by Patrick Lencioni. And that basically explains the value of trust. Because trust helps build the capability of teams to start discoursing with each other and having useful conflict. And that conflict or discussion helps build the team further, get commitment, and finally deliver on that. And you can't have trust without the leader being in touch with emotions. Now, how many of you as leaders have walked in a room with a bad temper or in a bad mood and see that your team's emotions or that your team's feelings immediately go down? I'm sure many. And the same team, when you actually go in the room with positive feeling, positive emotions, you can see a huge positive impact on their feelings and also their productivity. So unless, and that builds trust. The predictability of a leader brings trust. And then, as I said before, that leads to commitment and finally your delivery of your goals. So it's important for each leader to be sure that they are in touch with their emotions, they understand that, and they're able to then motivate the team to move forward. So as I said, vulnerability basically removes a false aura of invincibility. And what I mean by that is that once the leader is in touch with their emotions, they're able to be vulnerable. And there are many times in the last 4 years when I've seen that during COVID, during the time when we had to cut costs, etc., when we had to show that vulnerability to each other, and then the decisions came from the team. Not from the leader, but the team itself then proposed different ideas because the leader was able to be vulnerable. So a couple of other examples on team. So another book which I'd like to quote is The $1 Trillion Coach. This has been now something which we follow in BIMA for last, not the 4 years, but last 2 years. And the beauty about this book is it teaches the value of coaching. So as a leader, initially I thought coaching was something that is additional, that it's good to have and it's good to give. But in his book, Eric Schmidt, who was the CEO of Google, says that Bill Campbell, one of the most celebrated coaches in Silicon Valley, that the manager's core responsibility, one of the core responsibilities is coaching his team, his or her team, right? And it's important. Why? Because the team then develops trust in the leader. The team then finds out that the leader is not just interested in their objectives or the company's objectives, but the leader is interested in their own betterment or in their own future also, in the future of their team. So this is something which this book really describes well, and I do urge everyone to try to go through this and, if possible, implement it within their team. So coaching culture is critical. And what we did in BIMA was, when I joined, before that, we had basically a very flat structure. So we had a CEO and everybody reporting into the CEO. Then gradually we changed that into an SMT, senior management team. And this is very pertinent for small, fast-moving organizations like startups, because initially that's how they start. But the way to move is they have to break it down, give empowerment to the senior management team, and then develop people to go above that into GM level. So now a lot of our SMT members have become GMs and are delivering and are empowered to deliver on their own particular pillars of business. Another example I would give is of one of a local Pakistani leaders. At times controversial. But Agha Sanabdi, I would like to say that one of his quotations has stuck with me through the years. Management is about developing people. Very simple, but very powerful. And today, ladies and gentlemen, many bankers in Pakistan, the top senior bankers or the people who had laid the foundations of banking, were ex-BCCI. And why is that? Because they move people, they develop them, sending Pakistanis across the world in different countries around the world, bringing that experience back to Pakistan, developing the banking in Pakistan. So this is something which we need to get back into, and many of people are doing this. There's some large groups in Pakistan, very strong groups who have that culture, and that is why they're moving forward. But in many organizations and even multinationals, I have seen leaders shouting from one corner to the other, or leaders pursuing people who exit the organization to ensure that they don't get a job outside the organization. This is also a culture that exists. So we need to develop this coaching culture, the culture of caring about people to move forward. And it's a short talk, so this is probably the last slide I'm going to show. Culture. Finally, all of this then develops the culture. And in the last
four years, we've seen some earthquakes in the startup and in the business industry. What are those earthquakes? COVID happened. I remember waiting, getting laptops delivered to each and every call center agent across Pakistan, in Lahore especially, overnight. I think it was 23rd March. And then making sure that they have laptop devices and other things to make internet connectivity possible. Then making Jazz cloud devices available. And now we see that there's another economic downturn or a tough time for the nation. And for this, capital markets which were focused on growth are now focused on profitability. And that brings further challenges to organizations. And for this, again, a strong culture is the only thing which is going to move things forward. And throughout the years, I've seen that at times like this, the solutions are brought by the teams. And my team has brought some really good opportunities for the organizations to reduce costs, improve efficiency, technological efficiency, and get to an additional 28% on bottom line as well. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll say that these are some of the essentials that if we follow, you can make sure that the organization is successful and move towards changing dynamics of the time right now. Thank you.